Okay.
And we are live.
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 Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Dog Days Inc. Hope you all will enjoy yourself this afternoon for the inaugural. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Dog Days Inc. Hope you all will enjoy yourself this afternoon for the inaugural. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Dog Days Inc. Hope you all will enjoy yourself this afternoon for the inaugural. Good afternoon, everybody. Jesus Christ, what's going on? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Brian, we can hear you okay.
Okay, because I was getting feedback.
Yeah, I was getting an echo there.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome everybody who's come for the inaugural launch of our Dog Days Inc. publishing site. I'm Brian Benson, the author and I guess the founder of Dog Days Inc. And I'd like to turn it over to our moderator, Jimena Larson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jimena Larson. I'm going to be your moderator. We are very happy to have you here. So please make sure to ask questions, provide comments. We want to hear your thoughts. So if you are joining us via Zoom or through the Eventbrite, please send us your question through the chat box. If you're watching us through YouTube Live, please send us your questions or comments to dogdaysincpublishing@gmail.com. At the end of this event, we will be raffling some books. So those that send us questions or comments will be entering into the raffle. This book launch will consist of basically two parts. The first one, Brian will discuss about Dog Days Inc's philosophy and about the publishing house. And the second one, we'll be talking with the authors. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we have a YouTube channel so you can watch the book trailers. So, Brian?
Thank you, Jimena. As I said, my name is Brian Benson. I am an author. I'm a retired investigator. I started writing about 10 years ago, and I wrote my first book, Cobb's Search for a Serial Killer, in 2012. I went with traditional publishing, and I got picked up by a publishing house. And the first thing they wanted me to do was change my name. And then they wanted me to change the name of the book. And they wanted me to change the ending of the book. And, you know, I didn't want to change my name. So I didn't want to change the title of the book because Cobb was the name that I gave that person when I was 15 years old. And I agreed to change the ending of the book reluctantly, but at any rate, I did it. But when I finally got to the point where I had to do wine and cheese tasting events, I said, I think I'm just going to self-publish because I'm an old street guy. I don't do wine and cheese tasting events very well. Well, over the next couple of years, I kept writing, and publishing I was hearing all these horror stories from other authors that I knew. I know several best-selling authors that I'm actually friends with, and, you know, listen to the stories that they had, problems with publishing houses, as it stands right now, I get 5 or 6 calls a week from vanity publishers wanting to publish my book, telling me, oh, it's a great book. They haven't read it. They've read a couple of reviews on Amazon, and they're trying to sell you a program. And this has happened to numerous authors that I know. And I know several authors who have invested several $1,000s or more to get their books done and receive nothing. No book, no publishing, nothing. So I was discussing last year with an author friend of mine. I said, why does publishing have to be this hard? Why are the authors not treated better than they are? And I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to open my own publishing house and let the authors be the bosses. Let the authors be the CEOs. Let the authors be on the board of directors. Let them decide the direction that they want the publishing house to go. So I decided that every author should keep their own work. Every author should, when you come on with Dog Days Inc., you don't have to sign any contract. You keep your work. We don't. Anytime you want to leave, you can leave. And we've got a good little group of authors to start off with. I'm very happy with everybody here. Most of these folks that are authors, I've known them for years. So this is a whole different way of looking at publishing. You can submit your manuscript. If we accept your manuscript, then we'll get it edited. We'll get it printed. We'll give you an ISBN number. You won't have to pay for that. You will do a professional book trailer for you, and your book will be available in our bookstore. If you want to go ahead and put it on Amazon, we can do that, or you can do that. We try to make it easy for the author, and the authors decide the direction that this company goes in. There's no big boss here. For reasons of incorporation and to be legal, I am the sole CEO, but I don't have any voice in the company any higher than any of the authors. Matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, we had an issue and it was all voted on, and I got voted down 3-1. And now I'm glad that happened. But we think that independent authors are really the wave of the future, and that traditional publishing is eventually going to go by the wayside. So what we would like to do is sign more authors and grow our little co-op or publishing house, and let us decide where we want to go. So I guess I'll turn it back over to Jimena.
Thank you, Brian. This was great. Again, if you have any questions, comments, please put it on the chat box or email us at dogdaysincpublishing@gmail.com. So let's start. Let's meet the authors. Our first author is E.K. Larson. So Eric, and I think you're on mute.
Hi. Yeah, I'm just unmuted myself. If everyone can hear me. So thank you very much. I'm Eric Larson. The book or pseudonym, I guess, is E.K. Larson, just because there's so many other authors named Eric Larson. But I'm very excited to be here. Really excited about Dog Days Inc. publishing. I'm really excited for Brian's vision for the company and what it means and what it can mean for prospective authors. And I'm really excited about my book, Apollo's Promise. It's my first novel, first one I've ever tried to get published. So it was a happy coincidence that I live close to Brian, just happened to be my neighbor. And talking to him was able to get this started and seen through now to fruition, which is something I'm really happy with. So Apollo's Promise, tell you a little bit about it. It's a science fiction book, although it has other aspects too. So it's a book set in the future, and it begins with a NASA spacecraft arriving at like a distant star system, only to discover that Earth has been devastated by conflict. So basically they are humanity's best hope for survival. And it proceeds to follow them, establishing a new home on this new world. But unfortunately, some of the side effects of human civilization, things like war and corruption, follow them. So the story, I've always kind of been interested in creative writing. But what inspired me to write it was a couple of things. Science fiction, of course. I've always had an interest in history, and there's a lot of historical aspects to the book. So history has always been something very important to me. And I also started studying architecture and urban planning, and that helped drive some of the design of the world and the cities and some of the locations in the story. So that played a key role as well. I've always had kind of an interest in what's going to happen with the future, how things are going to play out. And finally, so I served in the military. I served with a lot of veterans, and some of those veterans I saw firsthand some of the struggles they went through. So one of the main characters in the book is a veteran with kind of some deep personal trauma, and that plays a role in the story as well. So I think that played a role also. Who is this book for? I think this book is for people that like science fiction, of course. There's space travel, it's a new planet, there's stuff like that. But there's also, so I think people with an interest in history or architecture will also get something out of this book. There's action in it too, and some mystery and some plot twists and things like that to make it interesting. So anyways, to sum it all up, thank you very much for everything. Thank you to Jimena, my wife, for all her patience with me writing this, and she actually helped all the format and make it a pretty book and design the cover, and I'm infinitely grateful for that. And yeah, super excited for Dog Days Inc. And with that, I'll turn it over to the next author. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next author is Gustavo de Paredes. Gustavo.
Hi, Jimena. Hi, everybody. I'm really excited about this launching because it's the first reason. First of all, I want to thank precisely Brian Benson for this initiative, because it's not usual that a small independent publishing house recruits authors from other countries. So I think that this action makes a very special publishing house to Dog Days Inc. So I'm really excited and happy about this way to reach other readers different than the national ones. I would say that way, and of course this is a great opportunity for us. I'm a Mexican author, as well as Andrea Syria, to show what we are writing in Mexico, our view about certain genders or certain ways to interpret literature, and I think that's why this experience is so important. I think that is very important to us to get to other audiences and to show them our visions about, I don't know, realistic literature or fantastic literature, or what we think about literature. So thanks again, Brian Benson, for this initiative, and I hope this is a point of union between writers from different countries. And well, I was invited for this launching to present my first book, which is an anthology titled A Day to End It All. I have to start by saying that this anthology has a precedent or antecedent which is this one. It was first published in Spanish, and the title is Un día para acabar con todo. And this anthology won a contest, a literary contest 4 years ago, and it was published regionally. But Brian Benson invited me after after a bit, and I decided to that this anthology has credentials enough to be published. And well, it's an anthology that is located in different countries. I'm interested not only as a writer, but also as an internationalist, because I studied international relations also. And the stories are placed in India and Japan and China and in different countries. But the point here is that I'm trying to analyze through these stories that, as I say, are located in different countries. I try to analyze different issues, such as militarism, terrorism, drug trafficking, poverty. But at the end of these stories, what I consider really interesting is my analysis about the human nature. This anthology tries to dig deep down into the human nature, and that's why it's also directed to analyze human emotions, such as love, such as loneliness, as faith. And I think that this is the true value of my anthology. I really enjoy it very much while writing it, and I hope if you read it, you enjoy it also. Thank you very much, and I give the I pass the how do you say, estafeta to the other author.
Thank you, Gustavo. Our next author is Andrea Siria.
Thank you, everybody. My name, you already heard it, it's Andrea Siria. And I am very, very happy to be here today and very grateful to see many people joining us still and many new people joining as well. Thank you, Jimena, for being our super moderator. And Jacinto is here also helping us. He's our IT expert and friend. And well, besides what Brian already said and everybody, Gustavo and Eric, about Dog Days Inc. Publishing, I would like to add that different from other publishing companies, this freedom that Brian talked about is that Dog Days Inc. Publishing is not looking for commercial books or bestseller, like recipe books, that every book looks the same because they sell well. So what Dog Days Inc. wants is just interesting studies and good stories. So in other words, as he said, you don't have to change your story or your name so that it fits the company commercial requirements. And I really appreciate that, because just as Brian, I've had myself several issues dealing with the commercial issues and parameters and requirements of my books. So one of these issues is about, I don't know how to say it, when a bestseller is not always regarding the fantastic modality, fantastic literature. And I would like to tell you that both my books are fantastic. What I mean with fantastic modality, I'll use something that a very good friend of mine told me to say whenever I try to explain it. You can think of the Twilight Zone or the X-Files or the Channel Zero. And this type of TV shows is what I like to watch. And those kind of stories is what I like to read and write, because they have this amazing mixture of reality that is our common world and unreality. And that crash is what makes me so happy to just believe it's true, it's possible. So this crash is only possible whenever there's something impossible. I know it sounds weird, but that's the amazing thing about fantastic literature. And the most important characteristic of fantastic literature is the ambiguity of likely supernatural factors or forces. And I said likely because the impossible situations in true fantastic stories cannot be explained. And that happens, for example, in fantasy stories or science fiction stories. A good example of a fantastic story, let's think of Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. That is not fantastic, but fantasy, since there's not a crash between what's real and what's unreal, and everything happens in a different world from ours, where you have sorcerers and I don't know, all type of weird animals going everywhere, and magicians, and that is accepted. That is possible in that world. But what I like is when we introduce impossible things in a possible world. So I think I was clear with my fantastic issue modality that I'm always trying to explain. And both of my books belong to this fantastic literature modality. And the first one is a novel I wrote. This is in English, the version I wrote thanks to Brian, because he really made me go through the process, as well as with Gustavo for the translation of the book, which wasn't easy, but we managed to do it. And I think after the proofreading and everything, I think this version in English is even scarier than the one in Spanish, and I just love it. The Veiled Smile. And since I don't want to spoil your reading experience, I will only tell you about 3 main issues about the story. The first one is a girl named Daneza, and she has a very weird condition because she does not talk, but she can't talk. And she does not relate with her parents, even though they really love her. But the weirdest thing about Daneza is that she's obsessed with a hospital and a surgeon she has never seen in her life. So there's Daneza, factor number 1. Factor number 2, one more thing about Daneza, I just remembered. How can she express her obsession if she does not talk? Well, I guess you'll have to read the book to know how she expresses her obsession. And the second factor is there's a beautiful young lady, an artist who draws oil paintings, and she is also obsessed, but in a very, very different way. And that fixation will drag her to lose her soul. This is very complicated because it changes the mood of her fixation. Her obsession changes her mood very weird. And the third aspect I want to share, and not to spoil the reading experience, is an old steamer trunk. This object is actually what originated my idea for writing this book. And guess what? I did not know myself what was inside the old rusty steamer trunk at first. I only knew it as I was writing the story. So that's for this novel, The Veiled Smile, and it's in our Duck Dicing publishing page. So you can find it there, and the ebook version is in Amazon. And the other book that Brian encouraged me to publish was this one, and that's Impossible Assumptions. And this book is it's made of 20 fantastic short stories. There are stories about, I don't know, let me think, weird wooden figures that could be watching you, or mysterious old ladies that would love to have you over for one night, or impossible timings and scenarios, strange, scary children that look like rag dolls and they're real dirty and, you know, like just walking without any purpose, houses that change their sizes, I don't know, a lot more. And I really enjoy writing these stories because I imagine myself trapped with the characters, and that's what makes me love literature and creating literature. Some of these stories have been already published elsewhere here in Mexico, and some of them even won national awards and whatever. And I really like this mixture. It's right here, and I hope that by holding them together in this book, keeps them still for a while before I don't know, the characters begin to think for themselves and do something scary. So thank you very much, and I hope you join us in this big effort for giving authors a voice and a place for their art and their creations. And I'm very, very grateful and happy for you to be here today. Thank you, Jimena.
Thank you, Andrea. We have received some just 2 questions, so we want to hear from you. Our last author is Brian. So
Brian, you're mute.
I think I'm live finally. Anyway, I have 3 books that have already been published. I'm working on a 4th novel. My first book was called Cobb's Search for Serial Killer. I wrote this book after I retired from doing investigative work. And all I can tell you about this character is he's, not a very good person. I gave him that name when I was 15 years old, and I wrote the book when I was 65. So I've had a lot of years to think about this character. And the second book I wrote was Twin Killing. And this is about a couple of sisters who are serial killers. They do rather gruesome things to their male victims. That's the only thing I'll mention about that. And then the third book is called Red Ink, and that's about a best-selling romance writer who is also a serial killer. And I think the title will tell you where this book is going. At any point, I become involved in that investigation with her, and I get a little bit too involved in the investigation, and I end up getting myself into a situation that I almost don't get out of. So all of my characters in my books all the investigators, I should say, in my books are people from real life. There's no straw men or straw women. I find it much easier to write about characters that I know rather than try to create a character. Like I said, I am a retired investigator, so my books all come from an investigative background. I'm currently working on a 4th book called Contortionist, and that's about a circus performer who's basically the whole circus. She does the trapeze, the high wire, she throws knives, she does all sorts of things in the circus. And she's being stalked by someone from her past. And our agency is hired to protect her and hopefully catch her killer before he can kill her. Her killer has already killed 3 high-profile celebrities, and this is the 4th one on his list. So that's briefly what my books are about. I enjoy writing them, and I'm hoping that there are authors or would-be authors in our audience who would also like to become part of Dog Days Inc. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Jimena for questions or whatever.
So one of the questions that we receive, and then that's for everyone. All these books sound fantastic. Thank you, Mary Catherine. I agree. Is it possible to order signed copies of them? And if so, how? You can purchase our books, like our hard copy books are available at dogdaysincpublishing.com. That's our website. And then I guess, Brian, is it possible to get them?
Signed copies, I'm able to do signed copies because I have everybody's books here. But Andrea and Gustavo are in Mexico and Eric is in the United Kingdom, so it would be very hard for or difficult to get signed copies of their books. But I have, Cobb, Twin Killing, and Red Ink, or all my books. If you want them autographed, I'd be happy to do that. Just send me an email and let me know how you want the book, how you want me to write the greeting or the signature in.
Andrea,
Yeah,
you have.
yeah, thank you. I think maybe even we cannot sign it with our hand, we can dedicate a note and Brian can write it for us, and we would know exactly what to say to someone who purchased our books. So that could be like a long distant hug, but with our words. And I don't know, I think that could work, and I would like it.
I get the second question is for Eric. Which books and movies have influenced your work?
Hi. Yeah, good question. I think that came from my dad. So thanks, Dad. I appreciate it. And thank you for listening. So books and movies that influenced the work. Let me think. I'd say, yeah, the movie Blade Runner from the 80s. That one, I think, probably had a strong influence on it. As a kid growing up in the 80s, like a lot of kids, I think Star Wars was an influence, although I wouldn't say my book is very much like Star Wars, frankly, but I think that probably sparked my interest in science fiction from an early age. And as far as books, there are so many books that I would say have had a pretty big impact. Some of the Isaac Asimov, like the Foundation series books, the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey, the book Neuromancer by William Gibson. I would include definitely those as well. Another one that comes to mind is the movie Interstellar. One of the characters in the book, the astronaut in my book, is I guess I kind of got the idea for him based on the movie Interstellar. So thank you very much. Good question. And actually, in regards to the previous question about book signing, even though I'm out here in the UK, Brian is sending me 10 books right now, I think. So
Yes.
certainly, yeah, if anyone wants one of those, I would be happy to sign it and mail it to them myself. We can work out the logistics somehow. It's probably going to take a while, just because it takes a while to mail things here and then for me to mail it back, but we can figure that out, and we'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, that question came from Ken. So the next question is from Marcela. Can you post a link to the website here, please? Yes, it's in the chat box. For those that are watching us on YouTube Live, is dogdaysincpublishing.com. Our next question is from Maria. Did I understand correctly? Are Brian's characters also based on real people, or he meant that the stories are based on feasible imaginary situations?
I guess the best way to say this is all of my characters are based on real people. The names are all changed, obviously. There are fictionalized parts of it. But these stories, or I should say, my characters are all people from real life. No straw men or straw women. But any inference that these are people that you would be able to identify, it's not going to happen. Cobb, the first book that I wrote, I don't want to spoil any of the story for you, but he's a person from real life, a person that I investigated. I guess the easiest way, if you read the book and you have questions, I'm very easy to get a hold of. You can, send me questions to the website or email questions to the website when you start reading. And I love to answer questions about the characters of the books. Like I said, the people on our investigative team are people from real life, the profilers and all that. They're all people that I know and have worked with over the years. It's just that their names are changed.
So Maria says, sounds very interesting. Thanks a lot for clearing it out. And I have to agree with Maria. That sounds like I want to read your book, Brian. That's on my book list. So another question, this is for Gustavo. What does your book, A Day to End It All, means for your literary career?
Well, it's a beginning. It's a very nice beginning because, as I said before, this anthology won a literary contest. And even though there were published only 500 books, they were sold, all of them. And I think that was a very fortunate beginning, but a very fortunate beginning. But these other, these are the new versions. I don't know if you can see them. And well, as I said, this is to me the first stone to reach other public, other audiences, other kind of readers. And I'm interested to transmit them what I think or what I believe and my vision about the world united or through literature. These are, of course, short anthologies that touch very important situation that happens in some countries. But as I said, this is literature. So I imagine a world through these situations. And what I wanted the most is to reach, to dig deep down the human soul and to find what there is. So that's what I try to analyze what love means, what faith means, what loneliness means, what happiness means. I think this is the real value of this book. That, of course, as I said before, it's the first stone, but it's a very valuable stone for me. And I would like to add one more thing that. Well, this is a mixture. Andrea Siria was talking about genders. She's very, very fond of fantastic gender. Well, my anthology is a mixture. This is the Spanish version. This is the English version. It's a mixture of realistic gender and fantastic gender. So I think that's an experiment that it could be valuable for readers. And well, I really enjoy it because in a certain way it's based on my favorite authors, such as Jose Saramago or Mario Vargas Llosa, or people like that inspire me to write this anthology. And well, I hope if you buy it, that you enjoy it as much as me, as myself. And yes, I work at the President of Mexico and at the Ministry of the Economy. Yes, thank you very much, Mary Catherine. Yes, that was a few years ago that I worked for this for the Mexican government. It was a very, very interesting experience. And well, I don't know precisely. I decided to locate this book in different countries because I visited some of these countries that I talk about. I mean, Japan, I mean, the United States, I mean, Australia, and so on. So yes, I in a certain way, analyze those countries and try to make a crossover from the reality to the literature field. And well, it was being in working on the President of Mexico as well as the Minister of Economy. It was a very valuable experience.
Thank you, Gustavo.
No, thanks to you.
I noticed that a lot of people that joined late. So if you have any questions about the publishing house, if you're interested in sharing your manuscript or have any questions for the author, for any of the authors, please use the chat box or email us at dogdaysingpublishing@gmail.com. Those people that have provided comments or questions will be entering into a raffle. We're raffling about selection of books. So the next question is for Andrea. Why do you choose the fantastic style for the stories that you write?
Okay, thank you. That's a good question. Why? Besides liking it, I believe I like to choose it because sometimes fantastic literature gives us the chance to rethink reality. And I'm always questioning myself, what if, what if one day I'm just, I don't know, driving my car and I forget how to drive or how to speak, or what if? So I'm always and constantly putting myself in weird situations, and they just make me look at reality in a different way. And I believe that this feeling of it's not possible, but you believe it might, it's always in the middle of my mind. I don't know, I've had friends and ex-boyfriends that I remember asking these people, what will you do if right now someone knocked at the door and was I don't know, without legs but holding a baseball bat? What will you do? What if there was a like weird thing on your front door knocking? And I like to see people reactions because I'm always imagining things like this, and I like to see people reactions when they read my stories or they're watching something like that, or I make this kind of questions because I love the uncertainty and the ambiguity, and I believe that's just the way I am. So that's why I choose that fantastic modality for my readings and my writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Susan says, I love the idea of escapism from reality. A good book can do that. Sorry about that. The next question is for all of you. What hooked you most about becoming involved with Dog Day Sing? And should we start with Eric, then Gustavo, and then Andrea?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, it was kind of a happy coincidence because we lived just down the street from Brian, and kind of just got to know him as a neighbor because we happened to share the same address number, even though it's a different street, through a mishap with mail one time, if I recall. But just through that one time, talking to him, I mentioned at some point after hearing that he had written some books, some detective novels, I mentioned that I was trying to write a book, and that's when he told me about the wanting to start the publishing company, and from there it took off. So I guess, and for me, it was kind of lucky, and it was just kind of it kind of came together like that. A very happy coincidence. But I love the fact that Brian is starting this as a way to, as he described it, cut through the nonsense, eliminate a lot of the horror stories that so many authors have to go through, where the publisher wants to control the narrative of the book, wants to change the name of the book, wants to change the story, demands a lot of money for the book, and all this. I think Brian's idea for this publishing company is not only a great one for authors, but I think it's the way that the world is probably moving, or the way authors in general are moving with the internet and books being self-published. So yeah. That's my answer.
Gustavo?
Well, in my case, well, as I said before, it's the opportunity to build bridges and to get to other kind of readers. That I think that in the United States, particularly in the United States and the United Kingdom, readers are very analytical. I don't know if in Mexico, so sometimes I don't understand the Mexican market, but I think that in the United States and the United Kingdom are very analytical people, and I wanted to get to those readers. So at least for me, it was a golden opportunity to do this. I don't understand the model of Dog Days Inc. I think it's a corporation, something like that. A cooperative. I don't really know, but as Eric said, we have the control of our own books. We have the control of our titles. And there are certain advantages that we can get from Dog Days Inc. That we as an authors are are convenient to us as authors. So I think that this is a very, very good opportunity. And that's where I'm trying to, I don't know, to participate in this effort that I consider really a very good experiment, and I'm really very pleased about it.
Okay,
Andrea?
thank you. I'll be quick because I see there's another question there. I met Brian a long time ago here in Mexico. I used to have a coffee shop, which I intended to be like a literary coffee shop and a bizarre mixture of antiques and I don't know. And he went there one day and he asked for a cup of coffee and I said, here we go. And then he fell in love with this chocolate cake. I was selling there like a muffin and I had books there and we began talking to each other and, oh, you like reading? And he said, yes, I have a book. And I said, oh, what a coincidence. I'm also a writer. And we started a friendship. And that was, I don't know, like maybe 10 years ago or something. And then we kept in touch and then we stopped being in touch and then we, I don't know, like bouncing our. And one day he said, how are your books going? And I said, well, you know, it is difficult because blah, 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 publishing companies. And he said, yes, I know what you mean. Why can it be easier for authors to publish? Why cannot it be easier? And then he came up with the idea, and I say, I want to join you. And here we are. And Eric joined, and Gustavo joined, and we hope to grow as a family of authors making this possible, because it is possible. I mean, we are no experts with the publicity and commercials, and but we are writers, and we want to write, and we want people to enjoy reading. That's all that matters to us. So that's how it happened.
So this book,
Can I mention something, Jimena? I just want to say too that one of the other things with traditional publishing, sometimes they have middlemen and they have literary agents and they have all kinds of people. Now we have editing services, but I think that if an author works and writes a book, they should be the one to profit off that book and not, have to take a cut of it. The only thing Dog Days Inc. takes from any author, okay, there's no upfront fees or anything like that. If you sell a book for $20, Dog Days Inc. gets $2. It's 10%. And that money is used to keep the website going, to keep, all the various things, the shipping and stuff like that we have to do. That's all it's for. I believe that the author worked hard to write these books, and they should be the one benefiting, not some commercial publishing house. And that's our goal. That's what we're trying to create here, is something for the writer. I know I only look 39, but I'm 75. And my goal with Dog Days Inc. was to create something that when, I transition, or whatever term you want to use, I've left something for other writers to be excited about and to be involved in. And that's my real goal for Dog Days Inc. It's certainly not, I don't think any of us are going to get rich from it, although I guess if the right author comes on board, that could happen. But that's our vision. That's what we think publishing should be about. It should be about the writer and about the art of publishing literature. And, I'm hoping we gain some writers today through this book launch.
thank you, Brian. So this question is for Andrea, Gustavo, and Eric. Are you working on new books? And if so, can you tell us what the public can look forward to? And let's start with Eric, followed by Gustavo, and then Andrea.
Okay, yeah, so I am working on a sequel. And of course, in some ways, progress is slower now that we have a daughter, so not as much time on my hands. But I am working on a sequel. I'd say I'm about halfway through it. It carries on directly from the first book, so a lot of the same characters, same sort of story. And yeah, I'm not going to commit to any timeline or anything like that, or promise a date when it'll be finished, but I hope to make progress on it, and I am working on it regularly. So I don't have a name for it yet either. Thanks.
Well, in my case, I am working in a other book. The title is The Sun. I forgot the name. The Sun in Ashes. Yes. And well, this book also won a prize, in regional prize again. But it wasn't published. So I don't know why, but I think that because of different bureaucratic issues, it wasn't published. It was supposed to be published. And I decided to speak with Brian, and he and I talk about this book, and he accepted to publish it. And well, now I understand that it's being reviewed. and well, I hope during the course of this year, it goes it goes public. And well, yes, that's what I'm doing right now. Thank you very much.
And well, I already wrote 2 other novels. One is a detective story, and it's trying lock somewhere in the lost world of words that I don't know if I'll ever win. And I have another short novel, which is pretty much like a, Kafka story, the castle. I mean, Kafka, this author who's also fantastic. It's a short, very ironic and with dark humor story that I wrote it in Spanish, of course, and I'm thinking to start the translation process and bother Brian again. So those 2 are my next books. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is for all authors. Is there any hidden autobiographical scene in any of your books? Something that happened to you, but now a character has taken your place in the situation? And again, let's start with Eric, followed by Gustavo, Andrea, and Brian.
Yeah, I'd say there certainly are aspects. I don't know if there's any direct part, but I think all of the characters in my book have aspects that are partly me. And I think in writing the story and developing it, I kind of tweaked them to kind of feed on some certain aspect and make it more extreme or more interesting or whatever, so that they're not all just me, because that would be not a very interesting story. So each of them is kind of unique. I guess there are some parts in each book or in each character in the book that stem from my own experiences. Certainly, there's a lot of parts that my own experiences influenced it. Yeah, thank you.
Well, my book, A Day to End It All, is mostly based in certain events that happen around the world. But I think that there is a short story which is very actual because it talks about, it's a love story that talks about the situation of the characters is linked with a possible war between countries. I mean, China, the United States, Japan. So I think it's a very actual issue. And there are other short stories that developed certain issues or events, such as the falling of the Twin Towers and something like that. So let's say that in this frame, there are certain stories that are developed. Okay, and my next book, The Sun in Ashes, well, I don't know, it was kind of criticized by some other colleagues in Mexico because I explore humor and I take some characters such as El Che Guevara or Fidel Castro, and well, I take those characters to build humorous stories, and I think that not all of my colleagues like this, but I really had fun of this, and I really enjoyed this experiment, and I think that's why it won the award that I was talking about before. Thank you.
Okay. That question, I've received it several times. I mean, this is not the first time someone asked me if I'm if any of the characters has to do with my autobiographical situation. And I always say yes, in a way, because it happens to all authors. But there are special characters in our books that mean something for us in a very specific time and moment. For example, I can tell you that in The Veil Smile, I don't know if you can read here. It says, property of Zadal Kabel. Do not, I cannot read backwards, sorry. Do not bury, sink, or melt. That's the steaming trunk I was telling you about. And whatever was inside that trunk was something I really, really need to kept for myself, because I was going through a very hard time in my life and I wanted to be safe. And then I discovered what I wanted to be so that I could keep on with my life. And I said, I know exactly what I want to be there. And yes, both girls in this book are part of my way of dealing with that, but in a very fantastic and scary way that now makes me very happy to read. And yes, actually, yes. Thank you, Maria, for your question.
Jimena, can you repeat the question again so that I answer it correctly?
Is there any hidden autobiographical scene in any of your books? Something that happened to you, but now a character has taken your place in the situation?
No. There are many aspects of the book that actually happen. Okay. Some of the interaction between the characters in the book actually happened. I see my dog just came to the room. Yeah, this, matter of fact, I had a review written that someone wrote about the book, and they said, oh, it was impossible. These things kind of don't happen this way. This is not how it would work. It's chancy, it's whatever. Well, that's exactly how it happened. And they said, in one scene in the book, when I was 16 years old, I chased this guy into an alley. And the person that did the review said, oh, it's preposterous that a 16-year-old, boy would chase a grown man into a dark alley. And as I think about it now, in retrospect, that was a stupid thing to do. But when I was 16, I wasn't, my brain didn't work on all 8 cylinders. So I sometimes did take chances and did stupid things. But many of the things or the situations that you read about in my books, those things actually happened at some point in real life.
So it's already 5 o'clock, but I'm going to take 2 questions, and then I want to ask Angela and Ken, Maria, Mary Catherine, Marcela, Adrienne, Susan, and the person that was showing up as iPhone to send us an email at dogdaysinc.publishing@gmail.com. You're eligible. You just got a free book. So congratulations. We had 7, and 7 people. So the second question we have is, how do I get the paperback? Thank you, Andrea. It's in our website, dogdaysincpublishing.com. And if there's any chance of making this into audiobooks, I don't know, Brian, have we looked into that?
That's a very involved process. You have to have a reader to read the book. And people who do that, who are in the profession, I know some, it isn't done cheap. So that's, I don't know, that's something we can look at down the road. And we'll see, we'll go from there.
So this is last question and is for Eric. Would the reader call your novel a mystery or sci-fi? And would the reader want to jump to the end? And this is from Ken, your dad.
Okay, so yeah, I would say it's a combination of both. That's a good question. Thank you. I guess I would describe the setting as science fiction, but the story itself is more mystery based, I guess would be a fair way to explain the balance there. But yeah, I would hope that the reader does not jump to the end, because that would definitely reveal a lot. So yeah, that'd be the best way. It is a blend, so thank you for that question.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. It's already 5:03 Eastern time, and for us, for Eric and me, is past 10 o'clock. We thank you so much that you're joining us on this Saturday afternoon. This has been recorded. Again, Angela, Maria, Mary Catherine, Marcela, Adrian, Susan, and the person that was showing up as iPhone, please send us an email with your address to send you the book. Please send us an email to dogdaysingpublishing@gmail.com. If you have any, is also in the website. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.